raised, it's plain to see. This is how we roll UP. I got stories, let me tell it. Bow and arrow and a dope ass mullet. Take one shot, that's all it took, son. When I fish, it takes one hook, son. Hunt big game, just take one look, son.
All right, welcome to episode 12 of the You Gotta Want podcast. Today is December 10th. I couldn't be more happier the way this past weekend turned out. It ended up being one of our best weekends ever at Muzzle camp, and we'll break down how that came to be, and we'll put a bow on the deer season. I think that's going to be it for me, as you'll hear why in this episode. And we still got a couple weeks that we can hunt till January 1st here in Michigan, but I think that's going to be it for me. I'll discuss why, and yeah, we'll get out of here after that. But just a great weekend to be up at camp with the guys. Ended up knocking 4 deer down total for us in our group. I kicked off Friday opening night with 8-pointer for myself. And then Saturday, my brother went to the lease and got himself a big doe. And then Sunday, my dad and I went back out to our spots. And my dad knocked down an 8-pointer for himself as well. And then I knocked down a doe. So 2 for me, 8-pointer for my dad, and a doe for my brother. So pretty cool weekend. Awesome weekend to be up at camp, hanging with the guys. It's always a great weekend to be up at the camp during muzzleloading weekend, whether or not we get a deer or not, but that's just icing on the cake to knock down the 4 deer that we got. So pretty cool. So we'll break down that, and we'll get out here. Seems like everything aligned for us this past weekend. The weather was awesome for muzzleloading. Couldn't ask for much better weather. Deer movement was great. So after looking at the cameras all week, I thought it would be a good idea to obviously put in just afternoon sits and at least put in 4 hours. So we were all sitting by 12:30 the first night, and yeah, headed up to my spot and had action up until I ended up shooting that 8. And it was pretty cool seeing there was snow coming down pretty hard. Deer were all over the place, but ended up seeing 2 8-pointers earlier in the night, and the wind was kind of swirling all night with that storm. And they came out for a couple seconds, and they ran back into the woods with a couple other deer. But towards about 4 o'clock, had a spike come out. Actually, had a fork come out. Kind of looked like a spike, but he had 2 little brows. He came out, and it was kind of just staring at me. He kept staring at me, and then he would stare in the woods, stare at me, stare in the woods. Finally, he caught something going on in the woods, and he took off like a rocket. So figured something was coming out, and the buck I ended up shooting came out facing me, and I thought at first it was that 10-pointer that I talked about in the past episode. So I got pretty fired up, but got the binocs on him, and it ended up being the 8-pointer that was new this past, I think he's on camera the first time Wednesday or Thursday. It's a wider 8, probably, I think he was about 15-inch spread, but really short tines. So kind of hesitated on whether or not to shoot him or not, but decided that what the heck's the difference here. He's a new buck, not really buck that we know about, so, and he looks more of like a bully buck anyway. He's got pretty bad genetics, like 3-inch G2s, so figured why not? Got everyone at camp, let's enjoy it. So he presented about a 106-yard shot, and let the old muzzleloader bark, and he was with 2 other deer out there, and they took off, and kind of didn't really know if I hit him or not. With that muzzleloader going off, smoke's flying, there's snow flying off the top of the roof on the pop-up, and yeah, didn't really know at first, but then a couple minutes later, I got a video off the cell camera to the north of that, and downloaded that, and there ended up being those 2 deer went flying through in front of the camera. And in the background, you can hear noise of like limbs cracking and breaking. So I figured it was a good chance, but you never know that if I got him or not. But it sounded like a deer crashing. So eased out there about 15 minutes later. Didn't have any blood on the edge of the field for the first 10 yards. So eased into the woods, and then I started seeing some spraying underneath the fresh snow. So followed the blood trail about 40, 50 yards, and then went to the right a little bit. And all of a sudden I looked up, and he was facing me. Crashed into a tree. So that was pretty cool to see with all the snow coming down, and just cool to get a buck down after the year I was having. And yeah, not the biggest buck like I said, but just a cool muzzleloading buck, you know, not nothing special. Probably wouldn't shoot it if it was beginning of bow season or something, but just a buck that didn't have any history with, so it didn't really matter to me. I didn't plan on shooting an 8-pointer like this. I think I said last week I was only going to shoot the 10 or the double fun point buck, but yeah, it got me a little fired up. I wouldn't have shot him if he didn't have the decent spread, but yeah, not much to the buck. Short tines, like I said. Had some, I think 3 of his points were chipped or kind of broke off. So maybe a bully buck, kind of a buck to get out of the herd. And like I said, he wasn't around all year, so not really too concerned of him making it. Rather see the nicer, better genetic 8s make it and stay around the property than this guy. So felt like I'd take a shot and get one down for the camp. So yeah, that was Friday night. Got back to camp, celebrated with the guys. Actually found him. Eric came over, took some pictures, walked back to camp, and went and got the buggy, loaded him up, got him hung on the buck pole, and went back to camp, had a couple drinks, and then my dad cooked a heck of a fish fry for us. So we had fish fry, fries, coleslaw, cowboy beans. Just a great Friday night up at camp, especially when you get a buck down. So that was Friday. Saturday wasn't as eventful, I would say. I still saw a ton of deer. Was going in looking for a doe, but still holding out for that chance of seeing that 10-pointer because he was around every day, every night he was around. So my dad saw 5 bucks, I believe, Friday night, passing a couple small 6s. Saturday was pretty bad for him. Didn't see many deer. My brother did shoot a doe on the lease Saturday night, so he was already back to camp by the time I got back in from the hunt. And then 10, 12 pounds of turkey nuggets that night with some mac and cheese, jalapeno and bacon mac and cheese. And had another good night with the guys up at camp. And then Sunday came around. Most of the guys packed up and headed home. And then Jeff, my dad, and I stayed up at camp one more night. And my dad and I decided to hunt again Sunday night. So, and nobody hunted in the mornings. And I think that paid off for us in the long run. Just letting the deer do what they do in the morning and then hunt them in the afternoons. And with the weather we were having, it was kind of a no-brainer. And so dropped off my dad at his spot early. He wanted to be sitting by noon, and because he had bucks in there in the morning on the camera. So he got in there around noon. I went back to camp, watched a little bit of football, and then headed out about 10 to 1. And just as I was getting in, pretty much got a group text from my dad, 8-point down. So he already had a buck down by, I think, 5 after 1, maybe a little bit later. And so that was pretty cool. And glad it worked out that not hunting in the mornings. He ended up getting that 8 that was there in the morning, so kind of worked out. So then Jeff went and helped him load that up, get that back to camp, and then as that was all going on, I had deer movement like crazy by me. I saw over another dozen deer, and had a group come out, a fork, and nice young 8, tighter rack, maybe 11, 12-inch spread, but higher tines and nice brows actually. So wasn't going to shoot him anyway if I didn't have the 8 down already. So just another nice young buck. Just cool to see bucks during muzzling. I mean, it's been rough. I think I was texting the guys Friday night before I ended up shooting that buck and said, I think I've only seen one rack buck during muzzling. It's just so tough if you don't have the food or you don't have the deer around. Most of the rack bucks are shot usually around the properties and then other properties I've hunted over the years, but this year it seemed like everything aligned. We just had the food, we had the bucks, and we had the snow, and the snow kept them around as long as we kept food there for them. So really cool to see, just see bucks and deer in general during muzzleloading. It was no boring time during the sits. I sat 3 times and saw 46 deer, I believe, and 4 8-pointers and a handful of smaller bucks. So yeah, about 2:30 Sunday night, I ended up taking a doe, presented a nice shot, and big doe actually. So pretty good size comparison. She's matched almost the buck size, so definitely a good doe to knock down, get some meat off of. So we had 4 deer down, and we had 3 on the buck pole Sunday night, and we were all back to camp had the deer cleaned up and everything and hung up, and we were already back inside by 4 o'clock. So that was cool to see. And just a great weekend. Can't ask for a much better weekend. It's always good to be up at camp with the guys to close out the year. And just seeing the deer and getting deer that we got is just icing on the cake. Usually, like I said, I think last episode, muzzling's tough, but cards were in our favor this week. We had the snow, the cold, and the continued cold, actually. The Sunday night was in the single digits with the wind, and the deer movement showed. I mean, it was nonstop from when I got in the stand up until I shot both nights, and yeah, just a ton of deer, ton of potential for next year. There's actually bucks all over. It's crazy this year. So we'll just fingers crossed that the bucks stay around. The 10-pointer has been every day, every night. He's on camera now. Of course, when we go home, he was daylight today, and the double fun point has been on camera. So I don't know if he found better food sources to where he was coming from, or he maybe got shot. But I doubt he got shot. But that's always that always could be the case, but you never know. Didn't hear much muzzleloading shooting this weekend around us, so we did most of the shooting. But yeah, pretty cool to get a couple deer down with the muzzleloader. Farthest shots I've ever taken with the muzzleloader too, so glad I got that sight in the week before. Both were around 105 to 110 yards, and put them both in the shoulder, and they didn't go 60, 70 yards. So pretty cool. And yeah, I'm not gonna hunt anymore this year, I don't think. Give the property a rest, and hope that 10-pointer makes it, and hopefully we find it sheds this off season and put another good story together next year. Hopefully those bigger ones that were on camera early in the year didn't get all shot, and they make a return next year too as well. We just gotta build it, and I think they'll come back. So got a lot of plans to look forward to getting put together for next spring and into summer and then fall. But hopefully got a pretty good plan for next year, and like I said, hopefully could find some sheds this off season. There's plenty of 2-year-olds running around. Really good potential at the land this coming year, 2026. Probably thought last year we had a lot of nice bucks hanging around at the end of the year, but I think this year we got a lot more, rack bucks than last year. So really cool to see. Hopefully they stick around and find their sheds and can put a game plan on them next year. And they seem to take a jump up here from 2 to 3. It's the third year of antlers. It seems like that's when they put the mass on. Start to put the mass on, I guess you would say. If you can get them to 4, that's really impressive. But 3 is what we're looking for. They make that jump from 2 to 3. That's when they start putting the mass on, and that's what we're looking for. So, yeah, all in all, really great weekend. Gonna ask for a better way to end the year with hanging with the guys and getting a buck and a doe down to fill the freezer. Finally got some venison again. That's gonna do it for deer season for me. Didn't have the best bow season, but that Missouri trip was awesome. Glad we went out there. Brian got that nice 9, so that made the trip worth it. And just seeing the caliber bucks this year out there made that worth it for me as well. And yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity to shoot some small 8s during bow season here in Michigan, but elected to pass on them, and hopefully a couple of those survived. And rifle season up here in Michigan, it's a crapshoot. Majority of the people realize that. But muzzleloading was awesome this year. If we get this kind of weather every year, I might as well just wait till muzzleloading season to deer hunt, because it's the deer do what they're supposed to. Supposed to come out to the food sources, and you see a ton of deer, and it's fun. And that's a hunting I think is supposed to be. But we don't get this kind of weather like we're supposed to every year during muzzleloading. So next year could be 50 degrees and no snow, or it could be a foot of snow. You just never know. But that's gonna wrap up this deer season. Probably come back and discuss some future plans on the probably come back on here and talk a little bit about 2026 plans. But for now, I'm going to sign off and take a break from the deer. Been going at it since October 1st, so like I said, nice to get a buck down to end the year. And yeah, now we're going to be looking for some sheds here in a couple weeks, and then before you know it, we'll be in turkey season. So hopefully the winter isn't too bad. The way it's looking right now, though, it might be a bad winter for the deer, but you never know. Could get warm here, and hopefully it goes by fast, and then we're into springtime. So that's the time that we all love. We're just gonna be chasing those gobblers. So that's it. Muzzleloading 2025 was awesome, and look forward to muzzleloading 2026 next year. So that's gonna do it for today's episode. I don't know if I'll be back next week. So thanks for listening to the You Gotta Want It podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.